A lot of footballers are playing in the wrong position and they don't even realize it. Seriously, think about it for a second. A lot of players never actually choose their position. It just kind of happens to them. Maybe when you were younger, your coach looked at you for 5 seconds and said, "You're quick, go out wide." Or maybe you were one of the taller kids, so they just stuck you at center back. Or maybe you were one of the weaker players at the time, so they put you full back or on the bench, and you just slowly accepted that as your identity. And then before you know it, years go by and now you're saying things like, "Yeah, I'm a right winger," or "I'm a center mid," when in reality, that might not actually be who you are as a player at all. And if you're in the wrong position, it explains so much. It explains why some parts of the game feel unnatural to you, why certain matches feel frustrating no matter how hard you try, why you can work like crazy and still feel like your game just isn't flowing the way it should. Because sometimes the problem isn't that you're bad, sometimes the problem is that you're trying to become great in the wrong role. And that's what this video is really about. Not just what position looks cool or what position scores the most goals, but what position actually matches you, your body, your mentality, your instincts, your energy, the way you naturally see the game. Because football becomes way easier when you stop forcing yourself into a role that doesn't fit and start leaning into the role that actually brings out your best qualities. That's when your game starts to click. That's when you stop looking lost. That's when improvement starts happening faster. So in this video, I'm going to help you figure out what position actually makes the most sense for you. And by the end of it, you should have a much clearer idea of where you really belong on the pitch. The first thing you need to understand is this: the right position usually reveals itself through your natural behavior, not through what sounds impressive, not through what your favorite player plays, not through what your friends say you should be, through your behavior. Because football exposes your personality very quickly. The way you move in a game tells the truth. For example, some players naturally always want the ball. They hate being disconnected from the play. Even if they start out wide, they drift inside. Even if they're told to stay high, they keep dropping deep to get involved. That's not random. That usually means they need to be more central. Other players are the complete opposite. They don't want 100 touches. They don't want to constantly receive under pressure. They want to attack space, make runs, isolate defenders, and explode in moments. That's a totally different player profile. Then you've got players who almost enjoy the ugly side of the game. They like winning duels, cutting out danger, reading passes, stopping attacks before they even happen. And no, that doesn't mean they're less talented. That's a real football instinct too. The point is this: before you think about formations and labels, you need to start paying attention to what you naturally do when nobody is overcoaching you. One of the best ways to figure that out is to think back to the earliest version of yourself as a footballer, back before you were trying to impress anyone, back before you started overthinking every touch, back before you cared about what looked good, when you were just playing because you loved the game. What did you naturally enjoy most? Did you love dribbling at people? Did you always try to beat one more man even when you probably shouldn't have? That says something. Did you always look for the killer pass? Did you enjoy seeing a run before everyone else and threading the ball through? That says something too. Were you obsessed with scoring? Did every attack feel incomplete unless you got on the end of it? That matters. Or maybe your biggest satisfaction came from shutting people down. Maybe you loved winning the ball cleanly, making recovery runs, or being the reason your team stayed in the game. That's not boring, that's identity. A lot of players lose sight of this because once organized football starts, your role gets shaped by coaches, systems, and team needs, and that's fine to an extent. But if you completely ignore your natural tendencies, you can end up spending years trying to become a player you were never built to be. Now let's get more practical, because I don't want this to just be one of those follow your heart football videos. You need real ways to test this, and probably the best thing you can do is stop playing one role all the time and start experimenting intentionally, not randomly, intentionally. If you only ever play one position, Of course, you're going to think that's your position. That's all you know. That's like eating the same food your whole life and then saying it's your favorite meal. You never gave anything else a chance. So what you need to do is start putting yourself in different roles and actually paying attention to how each one feels. Play a few games where your main job is to defend. Not just stand there, but really defend. Read danger, cover space, win duels, protect the back line. Then play games where your main job is to connect play in the middle. Constant scanning, receiving under pressure, making decisions quickly, controlling tempo. Then try playing higher up where your focus is movement, timing, finishing, and getting into dangerous areas. Try playing wide where your role is to stretch the game, attack fullbacks, and create 1v1s. The point is not to become average at everything. The point is to notice what feels most natural and where your strengths actually show up the most consistently. And when you do this, don't just judge yourself based on whether you had a good game or a bad game. That's way too surface level. Judge it based on what kind of problems you enjoy solving. That's a huge one, because every position comes with its own type of stress. Midfielders deal with pressure from every angle. Wingers deal with isolation and decision-making in transition. Strikers deal with low-touch games and the pressure to be clinical. Defenders deal with concentration, timing, and being punished hard for mistakes. Fullbacks have to defend and attack constantly. Goalkeepers are in their own world mentally, so ask yourself, what kind of pressure suits me? What kind of problems do I actually enjoy handling? Because that's usually a better clue than asking where do I look best on Instagram highlights. Football isn't about where you look coolest, it's about where you can repeat quality over and over again. Another thing a lot of players ignore is that your ideal position has a lot to do with your decision-making speed and style. Some players are naturally quick thinkers. They scan early, they see pictures fast, and they're calm when things get tight. Those players usually have the tools to play more central because central areas demand more awareness and faster decisions. Other players are more explosive and instinctive. They're not trying to make 50 tiny decisions every minute. They're trying to attack moments. They thrive when they can face the game, drive into space, or react quickly in dangerous areas. That can often suit wide roles or more direct attacking positions. Then you've got players who are naturally cautious and disciplined. They're always aware of balance, shape, and what could go wrong next. That mindset can be extremely valuable defensively. Again, none of these are better than the others. They're just different. The problem happens when a player with one kind of football brain tries to force themselves into a role that demands a completely different one. And let's talk about body type too, because people either overuse this or completely ignore it. Body type matters, but not in the lazy way people talk about it. It's not just tall equals center back or small equals winger. That's way too basic. What matters more is how your body moves and what kind of actions it supports best. Are you naturally explosive over short distances? Are you sharp in tight spaces? Do you turn quickly? Can you change direction fast? That can help massively in positions where agility and quick reactions matter. Or are you powerful in contact, hard to move, good at shielding, strong in duels? That can be useful in central or defensive roles or as a striker. Are you naturally built to cover ground repeatedly? Do you have that engine where you can just keep going? That can suit box-to-box roles, wide roles, or fullback. So yes, your body matters, but don't let people reduce your entire football identity to height or pace. Your body should support your role, not define your entire future by itself. One of the biggest mistakes young players make is choosing a position based on what they wish they were instead of what they actually are right now. And I get it, everyone wants to be the guy scoring goals or dribbling through 3 players. But if you're honest with yourself, your best football might come from a different place, and that's not settling, that's being smart. Some players waste years chasing a version of themselves that looks exciting but doesn't really match their actual strengths, and while they're doing that, they're ignoring the role where they could genuinely become dangerous. The best players aren't always the ones who do the flashiest things. They're the ones who understand themselves deeply and build their game around what they're naturally good at. That's why two players can both be midfielders and still be completely different. One might be a controller, one might be a destroyer, one might be a carrier, one might be a creator. Same general area of the pitch, completely different identity. And that brings me to something really important. Stop obsessing over the exact label too early. A lot of players get stuck because they're trying to decide whether they're specifically a 6, 8, 10, inverted winger, second striker, overlapping fullback, ball-playing centre-back, whatever. Relax. First figure out your football zone before you obsess over your football job title. In other words, where do you belong most naturally on the pitch? Are you someone who belongs deepest, where the game is in front of you and your main value is stopping things and starting attacks? Are you someone who belongs in the center of the game, constantly involved, linking everything together? Are you someone who belongs in wide channels, where you can isolate, carry, and create chaos? Or are you someone who belongs high up, close to goal, where your movement and end product matter most? That's the bigger question. Once you understand your natural zone, then you can fine-tune the exact role within it. So let me make this really simple. If you naturally love being on the ball all the time, scanning, connecting passes, and feeling involved in everything, you should seriously look at midfield roles. If you naturally love 1v1s, running into space, attacking defenders, and creating moments from the outside, you should probably explore wide attacking roles. If you're constantly thinking ahead, reading danger, organizing shape, and enjoying the battle side of the game, defensive roles might suit you far more than you think. And if your first instinct is always to attack goal, make runs, and finish moves, then forward positions deserve real attention. Again, this is not about putting you in a box, it's about helping you stop wasting time pretending to be something you're not. Now here's something a lot of players don't talk about enough. Your confidence changes depending on your position, and that matters way more than people realize. Some players look technically average in one position and then suddenly look way more confident in another. Why? Because confidence in football is heavily connected to familiarity and clarity. When you're in a role that fits your instincts, your brain doesn't feel like it's under attack every second. You're not constantly hesitating. You're not second guessing every movement. You're not thinking, should I be here? Should I go? Should I stay? You just start moving more freely. And once that happens, your technical ability usually looks better too. Your touch improves. Your decisions improve. Your timing improves. Not because you magically became a different player overnight, but because you're finally in a role where your brain and body are working together instead of fighting each other. This is why small-sided games can be such a cheat code for figuring yourself out, because in 5v5, 6v6, 7v7, everything gets exposed. You can't hide. If you hate receiving under pressure, it shows. If you naturally drift into dangerous spaces, it shows. If you're always reading the game one step early, it shows. If you're constantly trying to solve the game the same way every time, it shows. Small-sided football reveals your football personality very quickly because you're involved in so many actions. So if you really want to figure yourself out, don't just go to training and mindlessly play. Go in with a question. Ask yourself, what role am I testing today? Then after the session, be honest. Did it feel natural? Did I enjoy it? Did I influence the game there? Did I feel calm or stressed? Did my strengths show up or disappear? That kind of reflection will tell you way more than just watching football TikToks about positions. And speaking of that, be careful not to build your football identity from clips. This is a massive trap now. Social media makes every position look way simpler than it is. You see a winger doing stepovers and think, yeah, that's me. You see a midfielder spraying passes and think, I want to be that. You see a striker scoring tap-ins and think it looks easy, but you're only seeing the glamorous 5%. You're not seeing the off-ball movement, the scanning, the defensive work, the discipline, the positioning, the ugly details that actually make those roles work. A lot of players choose positions based on aesthetics instead of compatibility. Don't do that. Choose based on what fits your real game, not what gives you the best edit. And if you're still unsure, here's a really useful test. Ask yourself where your teammates naturally trust you most, not where they put you, but where they genuinely trust you. When your team is under pressure, what do they rely on you for? Do they look for you to calm things down? Do they trust you to beat your man? Do they trust you to clean up danger? Do they trust you to make runs in behind? Sometimes the people around you can see your football identity before you fully do. Of course, don't let other people define your whole career, but it can still give you clues. Because football is a game of repeated patterns, and if the same strengths keep showing up in how others use you, that's usually telling you something. So if I had to give you the simplest possible process for choosing the right football position, it would be this. First, be brutally honest about what you naturally enjoy in football. Second, identify what actions you consistently do well, not once but over and over again. Third, test yourself in multiple roles, especially in small-sided games. Fourth, stop thinking about positions as status and start thinking about them as fit. And fifth, pay attention to where your confidence, freedom, and impact all rise at the same time. That combination is huge, because the right position usually isn't just the one where you look decent, it's the one where you feel most alive in the game while also helping your team the most. At the end of the day, the right position for you is not always the one you imagined when you were younger, and that's okay. Sometimes the role that unlocks your best football is one you never expected, but once you find it, everything starts making more sense. Your game becomes clearer, your training becomes more focused, your weaknesses become easier to improve because they're now connected to a role that actually suits you. And most importantly, football becomes way more enjoyable because there's a huge difference between playing football and playing football in a way that actually feels like you. So if you've been feeling stuck lately, if you've been doubting yourself, if you've been wondering why your game doesn't fully click no matter how hard you work, maybe the answer isn't that you're not talented enough. Maybe the answer is that you've just been trying to grow in the wrong soil. Find the role that fits your nature, and your game might change way faster than you think. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment what position you play right now and what position you think actually suits you best.